Yo, before we start, smash that like button because this story gets wild. Imagine waking up before Black Friday and realizing your neighbor tried to reserve the entire public parking street for her shoppers. Yeah, she basically ran her own parking business. But she messed with the wrong neighbor, and I exposed everything. Black Friday was supposed to be simple, family visiting, a warm house, leftover pie, and maybe a few deals online. But instead, I woke up to something I never expected to see in a suburban neighborhood. Because right outside my house, my neighbor had turned our entire street into her own private parking business. It started at 6 a.m. I stepped outside to grab the morning paper. Yeah, I'm old school like that, and I froze. Traffic cones, plastic bins, yellow caution tape, handwritten signs that said, "No parking. Reserved for Black Friday customers only." First, I thought it was a prank. Maybe the kids on the block got creative. But then, Sachi stepped outside. Karen, the one neighbor who believes HOA or no HOA. She owns the entire zip code. She strutted out wearing a neon vest she clearly bought from Amazon the night before, holding a clipboard like she was running a military checkpoint. And when she saw me looking, she shouted across the street, "Don't even think about moving anything. I have permission." Permission? From who? Target Corporate? The parking fairy? Oprah? I laughed under my breath. But she heard me. Karen marched toward me like she had something to prove. "You can't park here today," she said. "I have Black Friday shoppers coming. I run a home boutique and these spots are reserved." I stared at her cones, her bins, her caution tape dragging across the public road. "Karen, this is a public street." She crossed her arms. "Not today, it's not. I'm running a full Black Friday event. I even put flyers in the neighborhood mailboxes." That got my attention. Because distributing anything in mailboxes? Yeah, that's actually illegal. I asked her calmly, "Do you even have a permit?" Karen's eyes widened like she didn't expect me to challenge her. She lifted her chin. "I don't need a permit. The community trusts me." Trust? The same woman who reported my Halloween decorations for being too spooky for children? The same woman who once threatened to report my grass for being too green? Yeah, right. I walked over, moved one cone, and that was enough to trigger the apocalypse. Karen started filming me with her phone. "I'm recording you. You're trespassing on reserved property." I blinked. "Karen, parking spaces are not property. And definitely not your property." She pointed to her clipboard like it was the Constitution. "I made a map. This is official." I swear, I've never seen a grown adult look so proud of crayons. But here's the real problem. My family was arriving in a few hours, and every single spot on the street was blocked. Karen was basically running a Monopoly game without permission. So I walked inside, grabbed my phone, and decided that if she wanted a battle, she was going to get one. Because if she was so confident she had permission, I was going to ask the actual people who give it. I started digging. City website? No permits issued for our street. Temporary closure request? Not even submitted. Use of cones to obstruct public property? Explicitly illegal. Charging people for public parking? A big no. Then I saw something interesting. A neighbor's Facebook post from the night before. "Why is Karen putting flyers saying she's using the street for her Black Friday sale? She threatened my teenager when he moved a cone to park." Oh, so it wasn't just me. I decided to collect everything. Photos, videos, screenshots, testimonials from the group chat. Because if she wanted to play official, I was going to bring the real officials. But first, I wanted to see how deep she was in this thing. So I stepped outside again. And what I saw made my jaw drop. Car pulled up. A woman rolled down her window, and Karen walked over and said, "Parking is $10 for the day. Cash only." She was selling parking spots on a public street. It was like watching a bootleg amusement park run by one person with too much time. And now, I had everything I needed to expose her. This wasn't about cones. This wasn't about parking. This was about a neighbor crossing a line so far. She needed Google Maps to find her way back. and I was done letting her bully the entire block. Today, Karen was going to meet reality. Black Friday morning arrived not with excitement, but with headlights. At 7:12 a.m., I watched from my window as cars slowed down, confused, while Karen stood in the middle of the street waving people toward her cones like she was directing traffic at the Super Bowl. She had a whistle, clipboard, a neon vest 2 sizes too big, and absolutely zero authority. But she acted like she ran the place. A minivan pulled up, and Karen leaned into the driver's window like she was running a VIP valet service. $5 for half-day parking, she said. 10 for the full day. Cash only, no receipts. I shook my head in disbelief. Not only was she blocking the street, she was profiting off it. Neighbors slowly started peeking out from behind curtains. Some were filming. Some were texting me. One neighbor whispered from across the lawn, "This woman has lost it." She yelled at my husband for parking in her section. Oh yeah, it was time. I grabbed my phone, opened the evidence folder, and made the call. Non-emergency line. Always the best option for petty suburban chaos. The dispatcher picked up. I explained everything. Every cone. Every fake NO parking sign. Every penny she charged strangers. And when I told them she actually blocked public access on a holiday weekend, the dispatcher said, "We'll send someone to check it out." Perfect. But I didn't have to wait long, because Karen noticed me standing on my porch holding my phone, and that was enough to trigger another meltdown. She stormed toward me, pointing aggressively. "You think you're so clever reporting me," she shouted. "But I told you. I have temporary authority from the HOA." Kept my cool. "Karen, we don't even have an HOA. It dissolved 4 years ago." The look on her face, priceless. She stuttered, Well, I still have seniority. I've lived here the longest." I shrugged. "That's not how the law works." That was it. She lost it. Karen blew her whistle so loudly the neighbors jumped. "I am ordering you back inside your home." She screamed it like she was a cop in a movie. Except she wasn't even close. That's when the first patrol car turned the corner. Karen froze mid-whistle. The neon vest suddenly didn't look as powerful. 2 officers stepped out. Calm, professional, and clearly annoyed they had to deal with this at 7 a.m. after Thanksgiving. One officer approached Karen. "Ma'am, can you step over here with us? We need to talk." Karen immediately switched personas, from aggressive dictator to innocent victim. "Officers, thank God you're here. This man," she pointed dramatically at me, "is trying to sabotage my authorized Black Friday operation." The officer blinked. "Authorized? By who?" Karen puffed her chest. "The Homeowners Association." The officer looked around the street, confused. "We don't see any signs of an HOA here." I stepped forward, keeping my voice calm. "Officer, our HOA dissolved in 2021. The city website even confirms it." The officer nodded slowly. Like that little detail made the entire picture much clearer. They turned to Karen again. "Ma'am, did you put out cones, tape, and signs blocking the public road?" Karen lifted her chin. "Of course I did. I run a home boutique. My customers deserve designated parking." The officer exchanged a look with his partner. "Ma'am, you can't reserve city streets for a business. That's illegal." Karen's smile faded. No, you don't understand. This is MY Street, my neighborhood. I've lived here 22 years. That gives me priority." The officer sighed. "Ma'am, public streets belong to the city, not homeowners." She wasn't ready to hear that. She stomped her foot like a toddler denied a toy. "You're wrong. And I am not moving those cones until every shopper is done." The second officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, you don't have a choice." And right on cue, a shopper pulled up beside them. "Excuse me," the woman asked Karen. "I already paid $10 for a full day. Do I park behind the cones?" The officer turned slowly. "You paid her?" The woman nodded. Karen smiled smugly. "See, this is a legitimate event." It was over. The officers radioed something in, and within minutes, A city parking compliance truck rolled in behind the police cruiser. Karen's confidence shattered. The city worker walked up and said, "Yeah, she definitely doesn't have a permit, and this is considered obstruction." Karen's jaw dropped. "Obstruction?" she shrieked. "I am helping the community." The city worker shook his head. "No, ma'am. You're blocking public access, running an unlicensed parking operation, and illegally charging people for city property." The officer added, "And threatening neighbors." Karen spun toward me. "You see what you did? You ruined everything." I didn't even respond. She didn't deserve a reaction. The city worker started grabbing cones and placing them in a pile. Karen tried to stop him, screaming, "Those are mine. You can't move them." He didn't even look up. "Ma'am, if you put them on public streets again, they'll be confiscated." The second officer said, "We're issuing a citation today, and you will refund every person you charged." Karen's face turned red. Not pink, not flushed, red. "This is harassment," she yelled. The officer remained calm. "No, ma'am. This is the law." She looked around. Neighbors were filming. Cars were driving by slowly. People were watching her entire fantasy collapse. Her hands shook as she pointed at me. "This is your fault. You started this." The officer turned. Actually, he did the right thing. Karen's mouth fell open. And then, silence. For the first time all day, Karen had nothing to say. Eventually, she shuffled back to her driveway, ripped off the neon vest, slammed her garage door, and vanished inside. The moment her door shut, the entire street felt lighter. Neighbors stepped out of their homes like someone lifted a curse. One woman looked at me and said, "Thank you. She's been a menace for years." Another man added, "She yelled at my daughter last Christmas for parking on the street. This was needed." I just smiled. Glad everything's back to normal. The city worker approached me. "Thanks for calling it in. People abuse power during holidays." "Good catch." He drove off. The officers left. And for the first time all morning, the street was wide open. Minutes later, my family arrived. Parked freely. No cones. No chaos. No Karen. We enjoyed Thanksgiving leftovers, laughed, watched football, and pretended the morning's madness never happened. But later that night, as I stepped outside to take the trash out, I noticed Karen's curtains move. Just a little. Just enough for her to peek out. She saw me. I saw her. Neither of us said a word. But the message was clear. She may have tried to turn the street into her business. She may have threatened everyone around her. She may have believed she owned the block. But today, I exposed everything. And she learned a lesson she'll never forget. You can't claim a public street just because your ego wants you to.